Okay, back to part two. Let's get into it. Phil Jackson, I think, deserves a lot of credit. I think he had the better team, but he also played. He had an excellent defensive scheme, which totally thwarted Manu and Tony from ever getting a good momentum in the paint, and that's really key to the Spurs winning. He had an excellent game plan, and he gave up a couple of shots to Tim Duncan, but by keeping Tim and Tony and Manu out of the paint, he effectively shut down the Spurs offense. Um, as far as the whole series, I thought the Spurs mentality versus the Lakers mentality was horrible. Um, the Spurs were always the receivers. The Lakers always dished out the punishment. Lakers were on the attack. The Spurs were trying to adjust, and it really showed with the way the Spurs were afraid to shoot, and they'd often get caught in into the shot clock situations where they had to put up a shot because there were so many people that weren't ready to pull the trigger when the ball came to them, and they had that second of second of an available shot, and they passed it up. So good rotation by the Lakers. Um, the Spurs need to get younger and athletic, and they need to get a second big man. Um, Alberto, he would be a nice bench player, but he's not a starter. And Kurt Thomas really isn't. I wouldn't mind seeing him on the Spurs, but he's not a starter either. Spurs need a younger, athletic player. They need more of that everywhere, but especially the low block because they need someone that can help them recover when their defensive scheme breaks down. Um, they're really stretching their talent as far as they can with their scheme, but no athleticism, no shot blocking. You've got uh, no mobility out of the four spot, and it's really hurting the Spurs. And plus, I know Tim Duncan likes to play the four spot, so it would really help them if they got a taller center, at least 6'10". But if he's 6'10", then have athleticism. This game, I think, came down to making shots, and that's the essence of basketball. Is you got to put the ball in the hoop, and if this had the Spurs been able to hit from outside, then they would have opened up bigger lanes. But Phil Jackson followed up on what Byron Scott did and made the Spurs shoot the basketball, and the Spurs just could not do it. And Tim Duncan couldn't hit his free throws, and um, that's not an excuse. That's the reality, and you can't keep saying, "Oh, we've got to make our shots." We just got to make our shots. We're getting good shots. Getting good shots is one thing, but you got to hit them, and if you don't, then you lose 4-1 in the playoffs. I think the Lakers' future looks bright. They didn't even have Bynum for this series. They're just going to be downright scary when they get Bynum. What an athletic young team, supremely talented. I mean, just look at them. Um, they don't need like a superstar point guard. They've got Fisher and Vujicic and Farmer, all in there that can really shoot the ball and spread the floor. Um, they're decent ball handlers, and you've got franchise player Kobe who can do pretty much everything, and he's a great in between guy, and he can carry you in the clutch. And you've got Bynum and Gasol and Odom on the low block. That is just unreal. Like, I mean, those guys can all move. They're all um, agile, and Bynum and Gasol, they're both 7 feet, and having Odom at that three spot, that is crazy. That is going to be hard to be topped. The Spurs, meanwhile, in this series at least, they had about four players that they could play, and that's counting Manu, but he really was never in it this series except for Game 3. Barry did a great job of stepping up, and there was Duncan and Parker, but you need to have at least 6 players that can play, and 4 players just wasn't enough for the Spurs. But mentioning Brent Barry, um, you know what a job he did. What a job he did coming in. I think he was you know, one of the best performers for the Spurs and one of the most um, clutch performers. The Spurs lost, but you can't lose Brent Berry in the shuffle, and nor can you lose. I think some mention of Bruce Bowen has to come in here because he did. I think he did a really good job on Kobe for the most part, and Kobe was forced to hit tough shots. But Bruce Bowen did make him look foolish at a couple of times, and really gave it his all. And I think he might be the best person to defend Kobe in the perimeter. But overall, really good job, Brent Berry. And I thought Tim Duncan, as a whole, had a pretty good series. Um, I didn't really like the way he played this last game, but on a whole, Tim Duncan really came through for the Spurs with the rebounding and um, um, you know getting some points, and it just didn't have enough help. Tim Duncan's on the decline, but I think he wasn't really dominant, but he still had a pretty good series. Um, after and I forgot to mention, Brooke Berry came back to the Spurs. How nice of it was of him. Um, he pretty much, I think he saved the Spurs from embarrassment this series. But luckily he came back, or I don't know what the Spurs would have been doing. They would have been forced to have been playing Finley and Udoka, who just could not match up with the Lakers. Um, as far as what they need to do in the future, more so, I think the Spurs. Well, you have to get a backup point guard because I'm really disappointed in Davis Stoudemire. I thought he'd be a little better, but he kind of showed what he was made of here. I know it's the downside of his career, but it would have been nice if he would have given some more effort. Um, Ori, I like Rob Ori. He's a really smart basketball player. I wouldn't mind him coming back. He's just he needs to work on his shooting a little bit. I know he's the clutchest player of all time, but as far as filling the gaps, he's got something to be desired. Um, I think Finley has to go. You just when you're relying on a guy for shooting and he's streaky at best, that's not enough. The Spurs need a pure shooter. So I I, I like Finley. I really do like Michael Finley, but I just um, his shots aren't. He's not making his shots, and if he's not making his shots, then he's not contributing. And I'd like to mention a good young player, Noel Felix, who I wish the Spurs would have picked up before the season. This guy's really athletic. He's probably like maybe only one or two shades under Dwight Howard. He's 6'9", so he gives up a little size, but he's got great work ethic, and he's willing to learn, and I think he's a defense first player, and he's going to give the Spurs some block shots and give them that youth and athleticism and energy that they need. Give them a little bit fresher look. So those are my takes on the series and upcoming. I'd like to thank everybody for listening and for commenting and rating the videos, good or bad, because that helps me, and knowing whether what kind of job I'm doing in reviewing these games. And while sports isn't a necessity, it's definitely refreshing and nice just to sometimes sit back and just talk intelligent sports. On that note, I hope some of you get better at making better contributions than Spurs suck and Kobe's my boy. I mean, not just on my videos, but everywhere. ESPN, any articles. We want to move towards intelligent conversation, not regress. So it's been a good season. If I produce any more sports videos, I'll let you know, maybe in the football season. But until then, this is SpursVideo.com, and that's a wrap.